Hi there, my name is Jonathan Mancini. I'm the Supervisor of Data Center Operations at the City of Hamilton. My portfolio includes all things servers, storage, and backup. In this video, I'm going to talk to you about Cohesity and Veeam, show you some of the differences I've noticed between the two products. To give you a little bit of background, we've been running Veeam in our environment for just over 2 years, and back in the summer, we started a proof of concept to augment our storage with Cohesity. That proof of concept went well. We were seeing, 4 to 6 times compression and dedupe on top of the compression that Veeam was already getting. So we decided to implement it as a storage repository. And then, but just overall, we haven't been getting the performance and throughput on Veeam that we'd hoped for, and that goes for all storage. It's not really a storage issue. It's more of a Veeam issue. We've noticed that backups just seem to take longer than we would hope for. We've installed dedicated physical proxies. We have a dedicated SQL 2016 database server. We've put quite a bit of hardware at it. We just haven't been able to get the performance we wanted. So in this video, we've decided to use Data Protect to see see what the difference is between, say, Data Protect and Veeam, and I'll show you some of the stuff we found. So I'm going to open up Veeam to start and to show you one of our backups is this sample. We're backing up about 200 servers with Veeam. This particular job is about 1.5 terabytes. This is an incremental that's now running. It takes about 2 hours and 36 minutes for the incremental to run, and the source is the bottleneck. So I'm going to open up that same job in Cohesity and to show you the differences in times. So if I go in here, protection jobs, and I'm going to open up, search for that protection job, and we'll bring that up. So you can see we started running it on December 11th, and this was the initial full. We were able to back up into a full server backup in 2 hours, just over 2 hours, and it backed up 1.8 terabytes of data. That's actually faster than the Veeam incremental. Moving up here to the incrementals, you can see I ran a couple test incrementals after the full completed, and they ran in just over 2 minutes. And then looking further ahead in the days following, when we had some more data on the server, the incremental backups were taking between 4 and 10 minutes, depending on how much data there was and how much other load there was on the system. So it's a dramatic increase. Or dramatic decrease in time, and an increase in throughput on Cohesity compared to Veeam. Just to show you a couple other jobs that we do run, just to give you an example, this file server here took about 9 hours to run an incremental on Veeam. If I go back to the one we started, if you look here, you can see all the way back. Our original full backup took just over 4 hours to run, and it backed up 3.3 terabytes of data and compressed and deduped then the 2.5 on the full. And then if we go over to the incrementals, you can see that they're running, in this one ran a little bit longer, but this one ran 5 minutes, 6 minutes, and it's been averaging about that much since. And there was 11 gigs of change, so we're running them every 12 hours. 11 gigs of change, getting that down to 2 gigs. We're getting 8 gigs of change down to 1.2, so we're seeing 8 to 1, 10 to almost 10 to 1 on these backups here. And as the backups go on, we're getting higher and higher compression and dedupe ratios, and going from 9 hours on an incremental in Veeam to 2 minutes in Cohesity. It really says something about the product. Both Veeam and Cohesity are using change block tracking. Just Cohesity uses it so much more efficiently. So the next thing I want to show you is just the recovery. So I'll start up a recovery job in Veeam. I like to do this as a demonstration, just to show how much faster Cohesity is at recovering files. So I'm going to go and restore from vSphere, and I want to get the guest file system so I can browse it. And while that's loading up, we're going to select our backup. So I'm going to select Corona. We'll search for that. And I'm going to take this file server. We've been backing up since late November on Cohesity. And actually, that's not the one I want. We'll go here. When we had a support call with Veeam, they actually instructed us to break up our jobs, as they were saying that anything over 2 terabytes was too big. And then we spoke to somebody else who said, no, we didn't have to do that. So we've been getting some contradictory reports from Veeam support on how to do our backups. So let's go ahead and start that. That's going to load the file system. While that's running over there, I'm going to go over here and start the recovery on Cohesity. So we go here, we're going to look for files and folders. One of the files I know that I'm looking for is this JPEG file on that server. And you can just see how fast the search results are. It's already starting to load it here. And it's in a bunch of different places. So look at Veeam over here, it's still starting its restore. So I'm going to go back here. I can actually narrow that search result down to that one protection job rather than all protection jobs. So I'm going to select file server Corona, we'll add that. And then it's just relaunching the search again. And there we go, now it's taking it down just to Corona. So let's go over and see. Oh, we still don't have a file list over here. So while we're, oh, it's just starting to come up there now. Okay. So we're going to go into here. And you can just see how much more time consuming it is to generate a restore off of Veeam. I still have to go and find the path. So on Cohesity, you do have also a, you can browse the file system by protection job. Actually, so I'm going to take that, and you can do a more traditional browse. Just one thing I've noticed compared to Veeam is just the UI is got such a better layout in Cohesity. Everything kind of feels like it's where it should be. You can select different dates up here if you want to change your dates, and then it'll automatically refresh here. It's kind of, everything's, built with the least amount of clicks in mind, where, in Veeam, if I wanted to select a different date, I have to go and start my, restore all over again. This just feels much more natural and, feels where everything should be. In this video, last thing I'm going to show you is just going to go through the amount of storage we're using. So right now we're backing up 110 servers onto Cohesity, and we're using about 44 terabytes of physical use space. Most of our servers will be backing up for just over 2 weeks, and we're keeping 45 days. These same servers being backed up on Veeam required over 100 terabytes of disk on our other storage. And then, so just, we're getting, faster backups, faster restores, and we're using less disk space than compared to our current Veeam environment. So overall, we know we're just, seeing backups just run that much better. And, we've been that much happier with it. So it looks like in the new year, we're going to be completely cutting over to Data Protect and, eventually migrating completely off of Veeam as opposed to using Cohesity as a Veeam repository. We're going to just natively use Cohesity and, decommission and get rid of Veeam before we have to pay for renewal next year. I hope you found this video useful, and if you have any questions, my contact information is in the description below, and hope this was helpful for you. Thanks.